this case and what's ahead with former federal prosecutor Shan Wu. Shan, does any of the new evidence revealed by prosecutors get us any closer to understanding the suspect's motive here?
It sounds like from what they're revealing publicly, some of the motive might appear to be that the defendant felt he wanted to retaliate for bullying, etc. Although really, I think that's more evidence for us of what his likely defense is going to be. I mean, they're already beginning, his defense team's already beginning to sound the horn of looking at mental illness. Sort of an interesting little statement that defense counsel made, which is they need time to assess the mental illness. I mean, really, they haven't proven there is mental illness yet. So there's a lot that's going to be going on behind the scenes in terms of that type of defense.
But how would that work in a case like this, particularly when you have evidence of premeditation?
There are two ways that it comes into play, Pamela. The first is simply, is he competent to stand trial? And that's one thing that defense counsel is going to want to establish, because if he doesn't understand the nature of what's actually happening, obviously that's a problem for them. The second way the mental illness comes into play is whether they want to mount the so-called insanity defense. And those are two very different things important for us to keep in mind. Competency is relatively easy to establish. I mean, when I tried violent crime, sometimes we did that within 24 hours. So it's a little bit of a lengthy process of the judge giving them a month and a half to do that. I think what's really going on there is that defense wants to look at whether they have a viable insanity defense. Take a look, does he have any history of treatment for mental illness, medications, etc., and to see what evidence they're going to get from the government that might help bolster that kind of claim.
And prosecutors say they expect to file additional charges in the next 2 weeks. What charges could we see?
Well, right now you just have the murder charges and the attempted charge. There's probably going to be all kinds of other potential charges. There are other people that were endangered, so there could be attempted murder on other people, endangering them. The possession of the high-capacity bullets may or may not be illegal. It's probably legal. It's really placing all the others that are in harm. Types of charges like the attempted shooting of the other officer. There are obviously a lot of people that were in the firing zone for this defendant. So they're going to look to load up on this. And for the prosecution in a case like this, they're going to have plenty of evidence. The challenge for them is making sure they don't overstep. They want to try a proper case, not leave any holes for an appeal. They only get one bite at the apple. If they convict, they convict. But if they get an acquittal, they can't appeal from that. So if they get their conviction, they want to make sure that it's locked up. And the judge is going to be very careful about that. He wants to make sure that the case is done properly so there aren't any problems later on.
All right, Shan Wu, thanks so much. And coming up right here in the